Online coaching and mentorship is very, I think, like you said, lucrative, right? But is with that, it gets to a point where it could be very harmful as well, because everyone sometimes are labeling themselves as a coach, as a mentor. But as we know, when we're talking about mentorship, it becomes a little bit more personal, right? Because you have a vested interest for that person. But when we're talking about coaching, these people should, ultimately be serving you. And now being able to keep these people accountable becomes it depends. It's how do we, you know, put accountability on this coach. Now, if this coach does not get you where you need to go, is that keeping them accountable? Because sometimes different variables are in place. But I will say that all in all, we'll dive into that a little bit more. But I will say at the end of the day, any entrepreneur, veteran entrepreneur or not, make sure you do your research. Make sure you do your research because everyone is not a subject matter expert as you may believe they are, or they market themselves as. If again they're not specifically meant for you and your business, I would always make sure I defer to kind of doing the work, right? Taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
No, absolutely, Kenneth. There's a lot of things going on in the space here. And, one of the things that I kind of really look at, like, let's first start off by talking about online coaching programs, right? And obviously, paying for education is fine, right? I paid to go to college. I got about 3 or 4 different degrees. I might even be paying to get a doctorate soon, okay? I have no problem with paying for education because when you're able to learn, you're able to make yourself better, you create different financial resources for yourself, and that's great, right? And I'm not even going to even get into like the quality of the online coaching programs, but what I really want to hone in on is that what exactly is a coach, right? So now when we're looking at coaching and we're looking at, what a coach is, now the Lakers, right? LeBron James has a coach, okay? The Lakers organization has a coach, okay? That coach is paid by the organization. He walks around with his Lakers shirt on. He has a vested interest in the success of that team. And when you call yourself a coach and you don't necessarily have your own vested interest in that person's or that organization's success, that's what kind of allows me to kind of take it back a little bit. And it's like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? Are you really a coach? Because you're not on my team. Somebody that can call themselves a coach of mine, they have to actually be on my team. And a lot of these individuals are coaching multiple teams at the same time, right? They're coaching your competition. So Darvin Ham isn't coaching the Lakers one game and that same day and that same season going and helping out the Clippers as well, right? So you really want to look at that, and I would identify that person as a consultant, not an actual coach.
And I agree. I agree in terms, right? Because when you're talking about entrepreneur, right, at an entry level entrepreneur, that entry level entrepreneur may not have the best resources to be able to get a coach on his team, to be able to remain to only play for that team. You know what I mean? So it just becomes very, you know, weary in the sense of, well, how can I also be able to get this person on my team without paying them? And that goes into the conversation of mentorship. But that even those waters could be pretty murky because sometimes every person will have their I guess vested interest or motive ultimately in regards to mentorship. Ideally, we would love for it to honestly say, hey, it is strictly for the love and genuine protection of that person or self. But typically, everyone has a kind of motive in regards to that. So it's very difficult. You teeter the line, teeter the line.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely teeter the line a lot of times, but what I really want to kind of hone in on is that there's nothing wrong with these individuals actually helping people and charging them for it. I'm not necessarily saying that's the problem. My problem is that don't call yourself a coach. Call yourself a consultant, right? Because if I'm hiring a consultant for my business, I have a certain level of expectations for that person, right? If I'm hiring a coach, it's like, well, essentially if you have a coach, right? Darvin Ham, again, the example I'm using for the Lakers, him and LeBron is in it together. They're figuring it out, right? They're on the same team. They're figuring it out. He has a game plan. He has strategies, all these different things, but ultimately they're going to figure it out and they're going to strategize and work together for that common goal. But the issue is that a consultant and these online coaches, they don't necessarily have a common goal of yours, right? So if we're hiring someone that called themselves a coach for veterans, right? Their goal isn't our goal. Our goal is to be, one of the largest companies supporting veterans for disability benefits, real estate, and in those different fields, right? They don't have a vested interest on whether we're successful in that, right? We can learn off their expertise. We can hire them for that expertise to coach us to a certain direction. But if we make $100 million, with this business, they're not getting 10%, 20% or anything like that. They don't have that vested interest tied in the same way a coach may have that tied in, right? Because if the Lakers win the championship, Darvin Ham gets a ring too.
So I guess because at this point now, it sounds like that for yourself, you would like, if you're a coach, there's no other conflict of interest. So that's what we're saying?
Essentially, yeah. During that time period that you're serving as a coach, there's not necessarily a conflict of interest in the same type of ways that we're saying that, hey, I'm on your team. This coach is saying they're on your team and they're committed to your success, right? But these online coaches aren't committed to your success. And what I'm trying to protect, our community and our veteran community from is that people that are preying on them for not having the knowledge of business and not having the knowledge of, certain career fields they're looking to get into. And they're saying, hey, I'll be your coach, or hey, I'll mentor you. And it's just like, well, no, you're misrepresenting what you're exactly doing for that person. Mm-hmm. What you're doing for that person is you're actually being a consultant for that person. And if you illuminate that and you tell them that in the beginning, that's going to change their perspective on what your role really is and how they need to be committed to their own desired outcome, right? Because they're leaning on these coaches and these mentors, what they're going to tell them and the strategy, and that's just going to lead them down the path to success. And people are paying tens of thousands of dollars for this coaching and this mentorship, and they should really be spending that money on their business, right? Even for myself, right? I've invested in certain coaching programs and different things. Haven't ever upgraded to paying for mentorship, but when I've done that, I've always targeted